When the eShop shut down in March this year, it was a sad reminder that many online services won't be around forever. If the users move away or they stop making money, sooner or later these services will simply cease to exist. And as a fan of older Pokemon games, this is quite concerning, because when Pokemon Bank shuts down, it will no longer be possible to transfer Pokemon between the DS, 3DS, and Switch. Without Bank, 4 entire generations of Pokemon games will no longer be able to communicate with each other. Forward compatibility has always been a staple of the Pokemon series. You've had the ability to bring your team with you from one game to the next, going as far back as Generation 3 on the Game Boy Advance, which is now over 20 years old. But if Bank shuts down, Pokemon in Generations 5, 6, and 7 will now be permanently stuck there. Due to the closure of the eShop, Pokemon Bank can no longer be downloaded, but it's still active for those who already have it installed and is now free to use for the foreseeable future. There has also been no time frame given for the closure of Pokemon Bank, so it's likely to stick around for a while, although it's wishful thinking to assume it will keep running forever. So before Bank goes offline, I think it will be a good idea to have one last visit through all of these games to see everything they have to offer. And if that sounds like a good idea to you too, then I have a challenge that might interest you. The Ribbon Master Challenge. The goal is difficult, but straightforward, collecting every single ribbon possible on a single Pokemon. Introduced in Generation 3, ribbons are basically achievements, except instead of being credited to your save file, they're awarded to the Pokemon that we use to earn them. If you've ever beaten a Pokemon game before, you've likely earned at least one ribbon, even if you never noticed it was there. Ribbons will always stay with your Pokemon as they move between different games, meaning it's possible to collect ribbons from multiple generations on a single Pokemon. And if you can collect every ribbon available to your Pokemon, it earns the right to be called a Ribbon Master, and can be recorded in the Ribbon Master Hall of Fame for all eternity. And in this video, I'll be starting at Generation 3 and working my way upwards to show you how to get every single ribbon, as well as other achievements that the series has to offer, and giving you every bit of advice I have to make this journey go as smoothly as possible. The first step of this challenge, just like any Pokemon journey, is choosing your partner. There's no right or wrong answer here, but you should consider how many ribbons you'll need to obtain and what challenges you'll have to overcome in the process. For example, if you choose a Pokemon with a very limited move pool, you might struggle when it comes to winning contests. There are also some ribbons that cannot be obtained by Pokemon that are considered restricted legendaries, as they are banned from being used in most battle facilities, one of the main places where ribbons can be found. And if a ribbon is unavailable to restricted legendaries, I'll use this icon to show it. But while many ribbons are related to battling, don't feel as if you have to choose a strong Pokemon when deciding on your Ribbon Master. None of these ribbons require your Pokemon to battle solo, and it's possible to win all of them without your Ribbon Master even needing to enter battle if you use the right teams. The official mascot of the Ribbon Master Challenge is Oswald, a Delibird that proved even the most unoptimized of Pokemon is capable of tackling this challenge with the right knowledge and determination. If you really want to get the most ribbons possible, you'll have to use a Shadow Pokemon from Pokemon Colosseum or Gale of Darkness, as they get an exclusive ribbon that no other Pokemon can obtain. And then you need to make sure it's able to enter Hisui, Galar, Sinnoh, and Paldea. The list of Pokemon that meet this criteria is fairly small though, and there's no guarantee that any of them will be available in the next generation of games either. Instead, I'd recommend taking a Pokemon that you like, and going from there without worrying about the final total. If you haven't caught your Ribbon Master yet, think about whether you want to try hunting for a shiny, or what kind of Pokeball you want to use to catch it. You could also look into RNG manipulation if you want your Ribbon Master to have good IVs, or to save time on shiny hunting. And I'd recommend checking out I'm a Blissey or Papa Jeff if you're looking for a place to start learning. My first Ribbon Master was Bluebell, a Slowbro that I hunted while working on my living decks a couple years ago, and since then I've done several more Ribbon Masters across various generations. As such, I'm very familiar with this challenge, and I want this video to serve not just as a Ribbon Master journey, but as the most comprehensive guide possible. And since I need a Shadow Pokemon to show off for this guide, I went back to Colosseum and refreshed my RNG manipulation skills to catch Willow, a shiny Shadow Quilava. But there's one problem. Quilava can't visit Sword and Shield. And it wouldn't be much of a comprehensive guide if I missed out on any ribbons. So I have a second Pokemon joining this adventure, and it's an extremely special one. Soon after I uploaded my first video on mystery gifts where I talked about the events given away at the New York Pokemon Center, I got talking with Professor Rex, a content creator who I know through the Ribbon Master community. He told me he was planning to meet up with Gridlin, who owns the genuine Gotta Catch 'em All machine. After mentioning how jealous I was that he'd be able to download these rare event Pokemon from the source, he made me an offer that I couldn't refuse. After getting to play around with the machine, Rex collected some Pokemon on my behalf, before travelling all the way to Japan for GoFest a few months later. While there, Rex traded them all over to a spare cartridge and handed it off to Lost Crusader 93, a friend of his who lived in England, who then sent the cartridge to me once he got home.
Oh yeah, it's just a parcel.
Oh, lovely. Thank you very much. No Cheers, thank you. Yes! Oh my god, finally. So after making a long-winded journey around the whole world, my very own Pokemon from the New York Pokemon Center have finally arrived. These are all extremely worthy Ribbon Master candidates for various reasons, and I actually had a hard time deciding which one I wanted to use for this video. But after a lot of careful consideration, I finally settled on Sableye. The team doesn't stop there though. Since the number of ribbons available for restricted legendaries is different, I thought it might be helpful to have one myself. That way I can showcase the difference and more easily demonstrate which ribbons are obtainable and which ones are not. And for that, I'm going to be using this Japanese Mew I caught, which I also hunted using RNG manipulation. Now that we have obtained our 3 Ribbon Master candidates, we're going to need to route all the way from Generation 3 to Pokemon Home, visiting pretty much every game along the way. So for those of you playing along at home, you're going to need a GameCube or a Wii with GameCube controller ports, a copy of Pokemon Colosseum or XD Gale of Darkness, a Game Boy to Game Boy adapter cable, a Game Boy Advance or Game Boy Advance SP, Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire or Emerald, a DS or DS Lite, Pokemon Diamond, Pearl or Platinum, Pokemon Heart Gold or Soul Silver, Pokemon Black, White, Black 2 or White 2, any model of 3DS or 2DS with Poketransporter and Pokemon Bank installed, Pokemon X or Y, Pokemon Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire, Pokemon Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon, a Switch and a Pokemon Home account, and depending on what Pokemon you chose, you might also need Pokemon Sword or Shield, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond or Shining Pearl, Pokemon Legends Arceus, and or Pokemon Scarlet or Violet. There are no version exclusive ribbons, so it doesn't matter which version of each game you have, but I would recommend using Emerald and Platinum instead of their counterpart versions, and you're going to want the Ultra version of Sun or Moon if you're using a restricted legendary. Before getting started, there is one very important thing to be aware of. If your Pokemon goes above level 50, you will not be able to get one of the ribbons in this generation. This will be important when we get to the Battle Tower, but for now, just be careful about leveling up. If you chose to capture a Shadow Pokemon as your Ribbon Master, then the Relic Stone is where your journey will begin. When captured, a Shadow Pokemon's heart is closed off, represented by the heart gauge on the summary screen. This meter will decrease over time as their heart is opened, which is done with actions such as battling and walking. If you're having trouble depleting the heart gauge, the fastest method is to buy scents from the market in Agate Village, which will instantly remove points from the meter when used. The nature of your Pokemon can also influence how effective certain methods are. For example, an adamant Pokemon will drain its heart gauge twice as fast when it's in the daycare compared to when it's walking in your party, and an Impish Pokemon will get less benefit from using scents, but a lot more from battling. If you don't want to spend money on scents, then there is also an idle way to reduce the heart gauge. Place your Shadow Pokemon in your party or in the daycare, stand at this corner in Agate Village, unplug your controller, and then plug it back in with the joystick tilted upwards. When you release the joystick, you'll start walking endlessly until you unplug the controller again. Every 256 steps will slowly open the heart gauge, and you can leave this running idle for as long as you need. Once the heart gauge has been fully emptied, you can bring it to the Relic Stone to purify it. In Colosseum exclusively, you can also use a Time Flute to instantly purify a Pokemon regardless of its heart gauge, but you only get 3 of these per save file, so use them wisely. Once purified, you get the National Ribbon and unlock the ability to nickname them, trade them, and level them up. But before we trade them out to the GBA, we have another ribbon to collect. And even if your Ribbon Master isn't a Shadow Pokemon, we still need to visit the All region to challenge Mount Battle. If you climb up this mountain gauntlet in story mode without changing your team, your entire party will be awarded the Earth Ribbon as your reward. Unlike most battle facilities, there are no restrictions on what Pokemon you can use, the level of your team is not restricted, and the opponents you battle are not even randomized. The only problem is you have to fight 100 of them in a row. This can be done in either Colosseum or Gale of Darkness, although the trainers you fight in each version are slightly different. Regardless of which version you play through, this challenge is actually fairly trivial. Some of the later NPCs will try throwing interesting double strategies at you, but it's nothing that a couple of over-leveled sweepers can't handle. The only real difficulty in this challenge is the time it takes to get through it all, which for me was roughly 4 hours. But with a good team and a bit of preparation, there's very little risk of actually losing this gauntlet. Regardless of which Pokemon you choose to lead with, I would recommend using moves that target both opponents. One interesting quirk of double battles in Generation 3 is that as soon as a Pokemon faints, a new Pokemon immediately has to switch in before the next move happens. So if both of the opposing Pokemon faint due to being hit by a move like Surf, they have to switch in 2 new Pokemon before your second move hits, meaning you can knock out up to 4 Pokemon in one turn, which greatly helps to speed up these battles. From my personal experience, you can easily clear the first 7 areas with little more than just spamming Earthquake and Surf. The only thing you really need to be careful of is battle number 99. In both versions of Mount Battle, the 99th trainer has a Shedinja on their team, so make sure you bring a super effective move or some other way of hurting Shedinja such as Sandstorm or inflicting poison, otherwise it's going to be a long climb back up from the bottom if you lose to it. Bring a few more strong Pokemon with coverage just to be safe, as well as your Ribbon Master of course, and you shouldn't have any trouble though. As long as you don't use the PC to change your party during the challenge, your entire team will be awarded with the ribbon at the end of the final battle. With the All region finished, we're now going to move into the Hoenn region, and our first target will be the Champion Ribbon. This one is very straightforward, and you've probably earned some version of this ribbon before. All you need to do is beat the Elite Four and the Champion, and upon entering the Hall of Fame, your entire team will receive the Champion Ribbon. This same ribbon can also be earned for beating the Elite Four in Fire Red and Leaf Green, but there are no other ribbons available in these games, so visiting Kanto is optional. Our next battle challenge is going to be the Battle Tower, but before that we're going to need to do some training. For the sake of this video, I'm going to assume you at least know some basics about EV training and battling. If you're planning to use your Ribbon Master as part of your tower team, then you're going to need to EV train it, while also being careful not to go above level 50. You can use vitamins to get up to 100 EVs in a single stat, and then use the Macho Brace and low level encounters to grind the rest without earning too much experience. If your Pokemon is already a high level, you can give multiple EXP shares to other members of your party so that your Ribbon Master earns EXP slower while still gaining the full benefit of EVs. Once you've earned the maximum amount of EVs, you can talk to this woman in Slateport Market to claim the Effort Ribbon. Otherwise, if your Pokemon is already close to level 51 or isn't going to be battling much, you can save this ribbon until later. EV training in later generations is a lot faster, and you have multiple opportunities to earn this ribbon. If you aren't planning to battle with your Ribbon Master at all and don't care about the EVs it earns, you can passively make progress on the Effort ribbon by equipping an EXP share, since any Pokemon that gains experience from a battle also receives EVs. Now we arrive at the first of several battle facilities in this challenge. Unlike the Elite Four, battle facilities distinguish themselves by having additional rules in place to make things more challenging, such as banning strong legendary Pokemon and reducing the number of Pokemon on your team. There are some variations in each facility, but these rules are generally consistent for all major battle facilities. While the Battle Frontier in Emerald hosts a wide variety of challenges, the only one we need to face is the Battle Tower. There are two ribbons available here, the Winning Ribbon and the Victory Ribbon, and both are earned for winning a streak of 56 battles. In Ruby and Sapphire, the Battle Tower is only for single battles and is broken up into two challenges, level 50 and level 100. The level 50 challenge is the reason I've been reminding you not to go above level 50, because if your Pokemon is level 51 or higher, it cannot be entered into this mode, and therefore it can no longer earn the Winning Ribbon. In all future titles, battle facilities will decrease the level of your team for rule sets that have a level cap, but this wasn't the case in Generation 3. If the level of your team is too low, you'll be weaker and slower than your opponents, and if your level is too high, you can't enter at all. So you have to make sure your battle team is exactly level 50 if you want the best chance at winning. And after that, you'll have to grind your team all the way to level 100 if you want the Victory Ribbon, because that's how strong the trainers are in the level 100 challenge. Fortunately, there is a way to avoid that much grinding. By the time they released Pokemon Emerald, they realised that the level 100 mode was kind of a stupid idea, and the open level challenge took its place. In this mode, the enemy trainers are instead scaled to match the highest level in your party with a minimum of level 60. And since open level also offers you the Victory Ribbon, it's an obvious choice which version you should do. This Battle Tower also introduced another convenient quality of life feature, a glitch that allows for the easy duplication of rare candy and other items. While I am hesitant to recommend a direct cloning glitch as part of this guide, many people consider this a legitimate way to save time due to the lack of experience grinding methods. And for players that have a dead internal battery, cloning is also the only real way of getting more berries, which are vital for the next set of ribbons. So if you want to make use of this glitch, that's up to you. Emerald also introduced double battles as an option, if that's your preferred mode of battling. The only downside is that the Emerald Tower AI is slightly more difficult. In Ruby and Sapphire, NPCs will select moves at random, and there's a smaller pool of available opponents, whereas Emerald NPCs are more intelligent and more varied, posing a greater challenge to overcome. It goes without saying that these trainers are going to be tough, and if you want the best chance of victory, you'll need a very solid team. For singles, I use Latios, Metagross and Suicune. Together, they form a very strong core of Dragon, Steel and Water, with each member having one or both of its allies resisting most of its weaknesses. Calm Mind makes Suicune and Latios very strong and very bulky, and Choice Band Metagross hits like a truck. If you plan on building this team, it's worth looking for a good nature and investing in good EV spreads, since these three are also going to be useful for winning future battle ribbons. Ideally, you want to get your Latios from the roaming encounter in Emerald or from Southern Island in either Emerald or Sapphire, and your Suicune should be caught from the Shadow encounter in Pokemon Colosseum. If your Latios is the roaming encounter from Ruby, or your Suicune came from Fire Red or Leaf Green, then sadly it means they will have really bad IVs, due to a glitch that affected all of the roaming legendary encounters in those games. Fortunately, this was fixed for the roaming encounter in Emerald, and Suicune's encounter in Colosseum is unaffected. Getting perfect IVs isn't a requirement, and isn't easy to do in this generation, since there are no guaranteed IVs for legendaries in Generation 3, but if you want to play it safe, you can look up how to use RNG manipulation to get good stat spreads. If you don't have access to Latios, then Latias or Salamence will also work as a substitute, and if you don't have Suicune, you can run a Milotic with a similar moveset. If you'd rather take on the double battle version of this tower, my friend Venti has an explosion based team that's apparently very fast, and I'll include a link to it in the description, along with all the other teams that I'll be referencing in this video. Even if you have a lot of battling experience in the newer games, there's one very important quirk that you might need to know about. Before Generation 4, there was no such thing as physical or special moves. Instead, there were physical and special types, meaning that every damaging move of a certain type is always going to be either physical or special damage. For example, Ghost was considered a physical type, so every Ghost type move used the physical attack stat to determine damage, even for moves like Shadow Ball that you would normally assume to be a special attack. This is why we're able to run it on a physical choice band Metagross and still deal massive damage. This lack of physical and special separation is also one of the reasons why Suicune is extremely powerful. The only two types that are super effective against Suicune are both special types, making it very hard to knock out Suicune after setting up Calm Mind and boosting its already impressive special defense. It might take some getting used to, but there's actually an easy way to remember which types are which, because all of the evolved forms of Eevee are special types. Fire, Electric, Water, Psychic, Dark, Grass, and Ice. The only special type that doesn't have a corresponding Eevee evolution is Dragon, while the remaining types are all physical. As you climb the battle tower, you'll have to fight your way through sets of 7 battles, and once you finish 7 sets, your streak will be at 49 wins. At this point, you'll need to bring your Ribbon Master on your team when you next enter the tower. It doesn't have to actually enter battle, it just needs to be on the team that you bring with you. Once you finish this final set, you'll be awarded the ribbon after winning battle 56. Finish both level 50 and then level 100 or open level, and you've successfully defeated the battle tower. If you want to get these ribbons on more of your Pokemon, you don't need to start again from the beginning. As long as your streak remains, you just need to win another 7 battles and your team will be awarded the ribbon again. If you're having trouble winning in any of these battle facilities in this challenge, the best advice I can offer you is to take it slowly. There's no time limit in these battles, so feel free to look up your opponent's movesets, do damage calculations, and play it safely once the battles start to get more challenging. I'd also recommend disabling battle animations, because you're going to be doing a lot of battles and seeing a lot of moves over the course of this challenge, and disabling move animations will help you get through these battle facilities a lot faster. With all the battling out of the way, it's time to become a contest star. But first, we have to make a quick stop at the Lily Cove Museum. Speak to the museum curator, and he will ask you to find artwork for him. Doing this enables the artist to start watching our contest performances, and if you perform well enough in the master rank, he'll make a painting of your Pokemon for the museum. This will be important for later, but now we need to prepare for the show. Starting in Generation 3, every Pokemon now has a set of 5 contest stats called conditions. These are Cool, Beauty, Cute, Smart, and Tough, as well as a separate stat called Sheen. These stats are vital for contest performances because they determine your score for the first round of the contest. As you might expect, a beauty contest will be awarding points based on your Pokemon's beauty stat, but each contest also judges you for 2 secondary conditions, which are the 2 adjacent stats on the contest chart. So while beauty is the most important, you're also going to get half as many points for both your coolness and your cuteness stats. Lastly, your score also includes 50% of your Pokemon's Sheen, so the key to performing well in contests is making sure that all of your stats are as high and well-rounded as possible. And unlike regular stats, where some Pokemon are objectively better than others, contest stats place all Pokemon on an equal playing field. There's no variation between species or individuals. Every Pokemon has the exact same potential, and all of them start at 0 in every stat. The only factor that affects contest condition is nature. Just like with some battling stats, most natures will cause one condition to raise faster and one condition to raise slower. So, how do we raise these stats? In order to improve our Ribbon Master's condition, we need to feed it Pokeblocks. The mechanics of this system are actually a lot deeper than you might think, and if you really want to dive into it, I can recommend this recent video by Linnaeus. As you can tell by the length, the finer details of this food making process can be extremely complicated, but to put it simply, Pokeblocks are made by blending berries, and the stats of each block is determined by the different flavour attributes of the berries that you mix together, with each of the 5 flavours assigned to the 5 contest stats. The overall quality is then determined by how fast you blend them together in the blending minigame. When the arrow points to your station, pressing the A button at the right time causes the blender to speed up, while badly timed inputs will cause it to slow down. Once the blender reaches around 82 revolutions per minute, only perfectly timed inputs will cause it to go even faster. After the berries are finished blending, the maximum speed that the blender reached is then factored into the final strength of the block that's created. But there is a limiting factor to raising your stats. Similar to how your Pokemon cannot gain more EVs after it reaches a certain limit, a Pokemon is only able to eat a limited amount of Pokeblocks. Every block you make has a feel value, which is based on the hidden smoothness of the berries that are used to make it, and that feel is then what raises your Pokemon's Sheen. Once the Sheen reaches 255, your Pokemon will become completely full, and will no longer be able to eat any more blocks. This is why making good blocks is very important, as you can't just keep feeding your Pokemon until its condition is maxed out. There's also no way to lower Sheen either, meaning your contest stats are effectively permanent. Before you feed your Pokemon, I would highly recommend saving the game. That way, if you're not happy with the stats you get after you feed it, you can simply reset and try again. The highest caliber of Pokeblocks can be made by using the rarest berries and blending with multiple other people. It's possible to beat all 5 contest types by blending basic berries in single player with NPCs, but the second contest round is very luck dependent, and starting with high points from the visual round can greatly improve your odds of winning. The best berries are only available using the e-reader, a hardware peripheral that was released in the early 2000s. Unfortunately, the e-reader can be very hard to find in certain parts of the world, and even if you have one, the cards that you need to scan in order to get these berries are very expensive, so it's not a realistic option for most people. If you return to Mount Battle, you can repeatedly rematch the trainers in Area 10 to earn coupons, which you can then exchange for the next best tier of berries. And the blocks made with these berries can increase your total condition score by almost 50% compared to only using the berries that are natively available in Hoenn. When it comes to feeding, the best technique to get high stat is to use blocks that get your Pokemon as close to maximum sheen and then finishing it off with a very strong block that has high stats and a high feel. Your sheen will stop at 255, but you still receive the full benefits of the Pokeblock, allowing you to get the most value from it. And if you're playing in Emerald with a working cartridge battery, your best option for creating a strong finishing block is the famous Blend Master, who randomly visits the Lily Cove Contest Hall and uses some of the best berries available to complement your own. The Blend Master is also incapable of missing when it comes to the blending minigame, and will always land perfect inputs, bringing the blender up to staggering speeds. And thanks to Sir Toasty Toes and the Kraken from the Ribbon Master community, we now know how you can trigger the Blend Master's visit. I recommend watching Sir Toasty Toes' video about base decorations to get the specifics, but cutting it short, as long as you don't have a dead cartridge battery, the game will roll a random number after every wild or trainer battle is finished, and roughly 1% of the time it will trigger a random event. With 4 possible events that can happen in Emerald, you have a 1 in 400 chance of the Blend Master event being activated after every battle. When any of these events are triggered, they'll be announced on TV the following day, with the event itself taking place 2 days later. Once the Blend Master arrives, we can use our Colosseum berries to make some very powerful Pokeblocks. For example, one of the best combinations is to start with a family of 3 and blend 2 Salak blocks, 3 Paldea blocks and 2 Apricot blocks, then visit the Blend Master and grind up a Ganlan berry. Feed these blocks to our Ribbon Master, and we have ourselves some very formidable contest stats. Sadistic Mystic, another member of the Ribbon Master community, has created this very comprehensive spreadsheet detailing all of the best combinations of berries and Pokeblocks that can be used to create the best stats based on what resources you have available. If you're in Ruby or Sapphire, or your Emerald cartridge has a dead battery, then unfortunately the Blend Master is off limits. In that case, we can use one of these sample sets that require only the regular NPCs and the berries from Mount Battle, such as blending 2 Ganon blocks, 2 Salak blocks, and 1 Paldea block with the family of 3, then 1 Salak, 1 Paldea, and 1 Apricot block with the Dude and the Lassie. After eating all of these blocks, your Pokemon's final contest condition will be slightly lower than if you'd used the Blend Master, but still well within range for winning in the Master ranks. This spreadsheet also includes recipes that only use 3 different Colosseum berries, recipes that use the Lychee berry, and recipes that rely entirely on Hoenn native berries. But regardless of what combination of blocks you choose, it's very important that you feed the block with the highest feel last, otherwise the sheen might fill up too quickly, preventing your Ribbon Master from finishing all of the blocks that you've just made. And with all of that berry blending information out of the way, we're finally ready for the first round of the contest. For the second round, we have 5 turns to appeal to the judge by performing moves. Every move in the game has a contest type and a contest effect, and these effects will range from simply earning appeal points to sabotaging the other contestants. Some moves even have bonus effects when used together, such as Rest and Snore. This is one of the best combinations for contests, as Rest can prevent you from losing points on the first turn, while Snore generates a large amount of points when used on the turn after Rest. Most Pokemon can learn both of these moves, and alternating between them will generate a good amount of appeal even outside of cute contests. Since the appeal round is 5 turns, you might also want to pick a move to use on the final round, such as Explosion or Hyper Beam, which could give your score an extra boost to finish with. By using the battle points you earn from climbing the battle tower, you can have your Pokemon learn Snore in the Emerald Battle Frontier, and if it's not a level up move for your Pokemon, Rest can be learned from TM44. If you've already used your copy of this TM, you can find another one in Emerald by using a Pokemon with the ability Pickup between level 51 and 70. Now all that's left is to complete all 4 ranks in each of the 5 contest types, as each one awards you a separate ribbon, for a total of 20 contest ribbons. Just to show that it's possible, I fed my Mew without using the Blend Master, using just the Colosseum berries and the regular NPCs. Even with the cool stat being its lowest due to its timid nature, Mew was able to win the Master Rank Cool contest first try with the use of Rest, Snore, and Explosion. If you score enough points during a Master Rank contest, you'll be approached by the artist I mentioned earlier, who presents you with a portrait of your Ribbon Master. If you allow him to display this painting in the museum, he'll thank you by awarding your Pokemon with the Artist Ribbon. This should happen at least once during the process of winning 5 Master Rank contests, but if it doesn't, just keep retrying the contest that's easiest for your Ribbon Master, and you should eventually win with enough points to earn it. You can get a different style of portrait for each type of contest that you win, but you only need to get one for the Artist Ribbon. One last thing to note, if you show a Pokemon with a very high contest condition to the Slateport fan club chairman, he can give you a scarf that boosts that stat by 20 points when held. You can get all 5 scarfs easily by maxing out each of the 5 conditions on a single random Pokemon and then showing them to him. 20 points is a fairly small boost and it won't increase your condition above the maximum of 255, but unless your stats are already maxed out, you have nothing to lose by holding one, since no other held items have any effect during contests. And with that, we are now done with Generation 3. While there aren't any more ribbons to collect, maybe you could give some of the other Battle Frontier challenges a try, or take a trip to Kanto if you haven't already. But once you're ready to go, you can send your Pokemon to the Pal Park by using the DS Duel slot. This function is available in all Generation 4 games, but it only works once per day in Sinnoh, and if you change the time or change systems, it can lock you out for the rest of the day. Meanwhile, Heart Gold and Soul Silver also let you transfer Pokemon once you've reached Fuchsia City, and there's no limit on how many times you can do it per day. And as we arrive in Generation 4, a new partner is going to be joining in on our journey, a shiny Matang. You might wonder why I'm adding a new Pokemon at this stage, and there's a very good reason for it. I just really want to show it off. I caught this bad boy during this year's Safari Week, and the odds of capturing a Matang in the Safari Zone are so astronomically small, the chances of catching this shiny were quite literally 1,000,000 to 1. Oh my god! Oh my god! Holy oh my fucking god! What? But after battling our way through 20 different contests in Hoenn, our first challenge is another 20 contests. This time you also need to complete a dress-up phase and a dancing round, both of which require your full attention, making this set of ribbons a bit more time-consuming than the last. Before the visual round, you have the dress-up phase, where you'll be given a theme and a limited amount of time to dress up your Pokemon with decorations. While your Pokemon will still be judged primarily on its contest condition, these accessories will give you extra points to your score if you can match the theme correctly. If you close your DS after they announce the theme, you can take your time consulting the following chart and figure out which decorations you need to use to get the best score. You aren't judged for how well you arrange these decorations, so simply pile on as many as you can before the time limit runs out. Decorations can be found in Amity Garden, from the Massage Girl in Veilstone City, bought to Floroma Town using berries, and earned from winning contests, as well as from a few other places. So if your decoration case is looking empty, it might be worthwhile to stock up before taking on the master ranks. After the audience rates your dress-up skills, we move into the dancing round, a basic rhythm game where each contestant takes turns performing dance moves that the other 3 have to copy. You score 1 point for a good move, 2 points for an excellent move, and none for a miss. Unless you're very consistent at landing excellent moves, your best option when it's your turn to dance is actually doing nothing. Even when you are the one leading the dance, it's still possible for a move to count as a miss if you're offbeat, whereas the other contestants can still score extra points by inputting your move correctly. But if you're confident in the timing of your dance moves, it's worth giving it a shot, as even Master Rank NPCs have a chance of missing a move, giving you a slight edge in points for the final round. This round is more or less the same as it was in Hoenn. You select moves to earn points, although this time there are multiple judges with their own voltage instead of a single audience appeal meter. You will need to learn some new moves for this part, as pretty much all of the contest effects have been changed, which fortunately includes removing all of the effects that sabotage other contestants, so you're no longer at risk of being stun-locked by the other performers. The 2 best effects to combine are moves that double your score for the next turn, such as Calm Mind, Bulk Up, and Dragon Dance, and then a move that raises your score if the judge has low voltage, such as Protect, Taunt, and False Swipe. There are a lot of common moves with these 2 effects, and most Pokemon should be able to learn at least one of each, either by leveling up or by using TMs. The first move will score you 0 points, but then using the second move on a judge with no voltage will score you 4 points in the following round, which is then doubled to 8. This time the acting round is only 4 turns long, so you don't need to run an extra move for the final turn, but a move that scores points for moving first can be useful in case all the judges end up building voltage. One important caveat is that you are unable to enter a Sinnoh contest if your Pokemon only knows one move. This isn't an issue for most Pokemon, but if your Ribbon Master happens to be Unknown or Ditto, then you will be unable to get these 20 ribbons without the use of glitches. But if you somehow made it through the Hoenn contest just by spamming Transform or Hidden Power, then I'd say you've earned a break. If you're starting in this generation, you'll need to use Poffins to raise your contest stats. Poffins are a lot harder to make than Pokeblocks, and playing with multiple people is practically mandatory if you want the same level of efficiency. But fortunately, making your own food is optional. Poffins can be bought in the basement of the Veilstone department store in Platinum, and they're good enough to beat contests with if you feed your Ribbon Master the right ones. If you really want the best contest stats, the best Poffin you can access is the Mild Poffin. Given to you before you enter your first contest, this high quality Poffin can give you a significant boost in contest condition, although it's only available once per save file. You can eat 12 Poffins bought at the Veilstone department store without fully raising your sheen, leaving just enough room to finish with the Mild Poffin. The contest scarves also return, this time being available in Pastoria City with the same method as before. Just show the scarf guy any Pokemon with a maxed out contest stat, and you get a scarf to boost your score with. If you want to save money on buying Poffins, you can even transfer up the same Pokemon that you showed to the fan club chairman in Hoenn. With contests out of the way again, it's time to quickly take out Cynthia and grab another champion title, before collecting a few more miscellaneous ribbons. So far, we've collected ribbons that showcase our skills in battle, our talents at contests, and the overall training that we've achieved with our Ribbon Master, and these next 3 ribbons will demonstrate just how dedicated you are to the grind. Because to get the Gorgeous, Royal, and Gorgeous Royal ribbons, you're going to need to spend over $1 million to buy them at the Ribbon Syndicate, with the cost of the Gorgeous Royal ribbon requiring you to have a completely maxed out wallet. You also need to have at least 10 different ribbons in your party to even set foot inside the Ribbon Syndicate, but obviously that's not a problem for us. The fastest place to grind for money in Sinnoh is outside the Pokemon Mansion on Route 212. Using the Versus Seeker, the elderly couple here will start to pay out a lot of money after you've rematched them a couple of times. $12,000 in Diamond and Pearl and $12,200 in Platinum. They only have a single Pokemon each, so farming them can be done quite quickly. While holding an amulet coin, this brings your total earnings to $24,400 per battle in Platinum, meaning you'll need to beat them a total of 41 times to max out your wallet. So this is one of the more tedious parts of the challenge, but it's overall one of the easier ones, as you don't need to pay much attention to what you're doing and you can stop at any time to take a break. This set of ribbons is also available in Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, and Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. The methods of grinding are more or less the same, but the prize money O powers, as well as the new move Happy Hour, do make it a bit faster to earn money in Generation 6. So you might want to consider waiting until you're back in Hoenn before getting this set of ribbons. Our next step is going to be collecting the Footprint ribbon. If your Pokemon has the maximum amount of friendship, you can show it to Dr. Footstep on Route 213 to receive this ribbon. Increasing friendship can be done by getting massages in Veilstone City and the Ribbon Syndicate, feeding EV lowering berries, leveling up, using vitamins or X items, and by winning battles and contests. Friendship gain can also be increased faster by holding a Soothe Bell or if your Pokemon was caught in a Luxury Ball, but technically the fastest way to max out your friendship is actually to go backwards. There are several herbal medicines that will heal your Pokemon for cheap at the cost of lowering their friendship, and due to a glitch in Diamond and Pearl, using these items in battle when your friendship is low enough will actually cause it to underflow, looping around to the maximum value instead of stopping at 0. Using the Friendship app, you'll know if your Pokemon has reached max friendship when it shows you 2 large hearts. This ribbon is available in future games, but the method to obtain it is slightly different, and it's possible to lock yourself out of obtaining it if your Pokemon's level is too high. So while gaining friendship can be a slow process, I would recommend getting it here just to be safe. Between the 20 contests, the money grinding, and the upcoming Battle Tower ribbons, chances are you'll be spending a fair amount of time in Sinnoh. Unfortunately, there's a set of ribbons for that too. In Sunnyshore's City, a woman named Julia will ask you to tell her stories. Each day of the week she'll ask for a different kind of story, and award the first Pokemon in your party with a new ribbon. Visit her every day for a week, and soon you'll have a full set of 7, the Alert, Shock, Downcast, Careless, Relax, Snooze, and Smile ribbons, often referred to as the Daily Ribbons. If you try changing the system date on your DS to skip time forward, the game will detect the time change and prevent you from getting any ribbons from her. But to bypass this, you can set your time to a few minutes before midnight, then allow the date to roll over in-game and now you're free to collect the next ribbon. This method also works for repeating any other once per day events in Generation 4, such as the Massage Girls in the Ribbon Syndicate and Veilstone City. This set is also available in a few other games. In Heart Gold and Soul Silver and X and Y, you have to track down NPCs in different locations for each day of the week. But in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, they're all given out by the same NPC found in Morvile Hills. This woman also gives the ribbon to your whole party at once instead of just the first Pokemon, meaning this is a much faster way to get these ribbons on multiple Pokemon. And now it's time to return to the brand new Battle Frontier, this time with even more ribbons to obtain. Instead of getting to choose between singles and doubles, now you have to do them both, as well as 2 extra battle modes. The first 2 ribbons are for single battles. The Ability Ribbon is earned after beating Palmer when he shows up for your 21st battle, and the Great Ability Ribbon is for when he reappears on battle 49. For this tower, I'm also going to be using Suicune and Metagross from our Generation 3 tower team, as they are both still incredibly useful. Latios can also be used if you prefer, but I would recommend raising a Garchomp, since it's also going to be useful for the doubles ribbons as well as future battle facilities. Just remember to bring your Ribbon Master for the 3rd and 7th sets to ensure they're with you when you fight Palmer. He only appears on the 21st and 49th battles, so if you already have a winning streak in this set, or you want to get the ribbons again, you'll have to forfeit in order to rematch Palmer. Next, we have the Double Ability Ribbon, which as you might expect is given for double battles. Palmer doesn't appear outside of the singles challenge, so instead this ribbon is given to your party for reaching a streak of 50 wins. Any Pokemon that takes part in a battle while your streak is at 50 or more wins will earn the ribbon, even if you automatically lose or forfeit the battle. But if you keep your streak active, it means you can keep collecting this ribbon on multiple Pokemon without having to restart from the beginning. The best strategy for doubles in my opinion is Zapdos and Garchomp. They can spam Discharge and Earthquake without hurting each other, and Metagross and Suicune can sit in the rear as backup. Ideally, you might want to Zapdos with Hidden Power Ice to target opposing Dragon types and Ground types, but this is obviously not an easy task without RNG manipulation. If you don't have Zapdos, you could also run this team with a Gengar instead, as its low defense can bait attacks away from Garchomp while it sets up Swords Dance. Once you get to 49 wins, bring your Ribbon Master and claim your reward for the 50th battle. Now we face two of the trickier ribbons, the Multi-Ability and Pair-Ability ribbons. We're going to start with the Multi-Ability ribbon by signing up for a multi-battle and saying no when asked if we want to battle with a friend. For this one, you battle in doubles, but instead you only get to choose half of the team, as the other half is controlled by an NPC. You have 5 partners to choose from, but you have to find these trainers around the Sinnoh region and help escort them through various dungeons before they're willing to team up with you. You would have already helped Cheryl get through Eterna Forest at the start of the game, and you probably helped Riley on Iron Island to get a Riolu egg. The other 3 trainers are Myra, Marley and Buck, and they can be found in Wayward Cave, Victory Road and Stark Mountain respectively. But if you don't feel like going on a few dungeon crawls, all 5 trainers are available immediately in the Johto version of the Battle Tower. These trainers each specialise in a different base stat, and will each tell you a little bit of information about their team when asked. Riley uses physical attackers, Mira uses special attackers, and Marley uses fast Pokemon. Meanwhile, Cheryl focuses on bulky Pokemon with high HP and health recovery moves, and Buck uses Pokemon with high defense. If none of them have any good options, you can return to the lobby without breaking your streak and then skip time forward. When the date rolls over, you can check again and they should have new teams. Repeat until you're happy with your partner, and you should be good to go. For this format, you only get to bring 2 Pokemon, so Metagross and Garchomp are solid picks, and Mira is generally one of the better options to partner with, as most of her Pokemon are very capable and she also has a lot of flying and levitating Pokemon that partner well with Garchomp. You can look up all of the available stat spreads and move pools for your partner on Bulbapedia, so use those to determine what they might do or if they can survive certain attacks. Just like with doubles, we get ourselves to a streak of 49 and then bring our Ribbon Master for one more win to get the Multi-Ability ribbon. If we go back to the same counter and instead agree to battle with a friend, we can get the Pair-Ability ribbon instead. This works just like the Multi-Ability ribbon, except you battle with another person. In this case, if you don't have a friend that's willing to sit down and play co-op Pokemon battles for several hours, that person is also going to be you. This does require a second game and a second console, but fortunately you should already have both of those for this challenge. Heart Gold and Soul Silver has an exact copy of the Sinnoh Battle Frontier in Johto, and you should already have a 3DS for when you reach Generation 6. For strategy, this ribbon is functionally the same as the doubles ribbon since you're controlling both trainers, but you are still controlling 2 separate teams. So be aware that you can't swap in a Pokemon from your first team if both the Pokemon on your second team get knocked out. This restriction also applies to the NPCs in multi-battles, so focusing on one half of the opposing team can improve your odds by turning the rest of the battle into a 2 versus 1. I would recommend using the same Garchomp and Metagross team on one side with Zapdos and Suicune on the other, since you don't want Metagross on the field at the same time as Garchomp spamming Earthquake, or Suicune at the same time as Zapdos spamming Discharge. The major downside to this ribbon is that it's really slow. Generation 4 already has a reputation for slow battles, and move animations will always be shown in this mode even if both players have them disabled. It's also a little bit awkward having to juggle 2 systems at the same time, but aside from that, it's not much harder than the doubles ribbon. So once again, replace Metagross or Suicune with your Ribbon Master once you get to 49 wins, and you can finally say goodbye to the multi-battle format. There is one final ribbon to be earned in the Battle Tower though. The World Ability ribbon is earned whenever your rank increases to 5 or higher in the Wi-Fi room, where you battle against teams created by other players but controlled by the game's AI. The only problem is that the Wi-Fi servers shut down in 2014, rendering the ribbon technically unavailable. There are fan-hosted servers that you can connect to, and I talked about how to do this briefly in a previous video, but the Wi-Fi room has no hack checks, so it's possible to encounter teams using illegal abilities and movesets that are almost impossible to beat, such as Sturdy Shedinjas, Wonder Guard Spiritombs, and Pokemon with the ability No Guard using one-hit KO moves. Some of these rooms do get moderated periodically though, and it is still possible to find rooms without hackers in them, but even fighting the legit teams is a major challenge, and you'll have to deal with waves of Garchomps, Metagross, and Togekiss. This team created by the Ribbon Master Discord is pretty good at abusing the aggressive AI and taking out even the most broken of hacked opponents by using Counter and Destiny Bond, so with a bit of patience it's still possible to climb the ranks and earn the World Ability ribbon. However, since the Wi-Fi room is no longer officially hosted and the alt Wi-Fi servers can only be connected to if you have the right kind of router or hotspot, this ribbon is not required for a Pokemon to be considered as a Ribbon Master. Before we leave Generation 4, there is still one unique ribbon to be found in the Johto region, the Legend Ribbon. Once you've collected all 16 badges, you can climb Mount Silver and face off against Red. His team is the highest level of any NPC trainer you're going to be fighting, but you're now free to use healing items, legendaries, and anything else that you need to win. So compared to the restrictions of the Battle Tower, this fight isn't so bad. There's no ribbon for beating the Elite Four here in Johto, but if you've defeated Red previously, he won't come back until you beat the champion again. With no more ribbons left to collect in this generation, be sure to take a well-earned rest. Take some photos together to remember your adventures, enjoy walking around Johto and Kanto with your Ribbon Master, and perhaps you could even go for a walk in real life. While not counted as a ribbon, if you're still itching for something to collect, then you can try looking for the shiny crown. While walking in the grass on certain routes, your Pokemon has a chance to find a special item called a shiny leaf. If it finds 5 leaves and you show them to Lyra or Ethan, they'll make the leaves into a crown and give you a special certificate, as well as increasing your trainer card level if this is the first time you've made a shiny crown. This crown doesn't stay with your Pokemon when it transfers into other games, but it appears on their summary screen while in Johto and serves as a neat little memento that you can collect. If you want something more competitive, you can try and set some records in the Pokeathlon. Medals earned here won't carry forward either, but they might earn your Ribbon Master a place in the Hall of Records beneath the arena. If you have a Wii, you can also drop in and visit Battle Revolution or the Pokemon Ranch if you happen to have them. There isn't much we can do in these games, but you can get some nice photo opportunities in the ranch or claim some more bragging rights in Battle Revolution if you're up for the challenge. As for recurring ribbons, the only one making a return from Generation 3 is the Effort Ribbon, and you can find it in Sunyshore Market and Blackthorn City. This ribbon also appears in almost every game from this point onwards, so it's practically impossible to miss out on it. Before we make the jump into Generation 5, one thing you should know is that using the transporter will overwrite certain information about your Pokemon. Specifically, it will change where, when, and what level it was first met at. The Met level will be set to its current level, the Met date will be set to whatever date it currently is, and the Met location will be changed to the Poke Transporter Lab, although this is only visible in Pokemon Home, and the in-game summary will still display your Pokemon's original region. The Met level is important because any Pokemon transferred at level 71 or higher will now be unable to get the Footprint Ribbon if it did not already receive it. While the Footprint Ribbon is available in future games, it's now awarded when your Pokemon is at least 30 levels higher than when it was first met, instead of being based on your friendship. And since the maximum level is 100, if your Pokemon's Met level is higher than 70, then it won't be able to collect this ribbon. If you want to preserve the date your Pokemon was caught on, you can change the date on the system that you're sending them to, and all the Pokemon that arrive will have their Met date changed accordingly. But now at long last we say farewell to Sinnoh, Johto and Kanto and say hello to the Unova region. This region is home to many different activities and challenges that we can attempt with our team, but as far as the Ribbon Master Challenge is concerned, all of these are entirely optional, because there is not a single ribbon that can be earned in Generation 5. You still need to visit Unova before you can move on to Kalos though, so you might as well have some fun while you're here. The musical theatre gives you a chance to dress up like the contest did in Sinnoh, and the battle subway is the equivalent to the battle tower here. As always, there's also an Elite Four and a champion that we can defeat to earn a place in another Hall of Fame, and if you have Black and White too, you can also use your Ribbon Master to earn some medals, or rematch against various gym leaders and champions in the PWT. Finally, Pokestar Studios allows your Ribbon Master to star on the big screen, and actually has a secret reward that can be earned. In Pokestar Studios, you make movies by choosing dialogue and performing in scripted battles. Follow the script correctly and you get a good, albeit cliché and predictable ending. But if you mess it up and somehow fail the objective, the audience will hate it and the movie will absolutely bomb at the box office. It's kind of like a puzzle minigame, and working out the right moves to use in order to complete certain objectives can be tricky. Fortunately, the first time you film a movie, you get given a specific Pokemon or team to use, which is capable of completing the objective if you use it correctly. After you get a successful ending, you can then choose to reshoot the movie using any of your own Pokemon. This is where it gets interesting, because every movie also has a secret objective. If you deviate from the script in just the right way, you can completely change the outcome of the movie, turning it into a cult classic and generating a lot more money at the box office. This is known as the strange ending, or cult ending, and if you achieve the strange ending with one of your own Pokemon, it gets a unique sparkle when you send it into battle. There are also hidden scenes in certain movies that can only be seen by using specific moves that aren't available on the default rental Pokemon, such as using Attract in the romance films, or Future Sight during the first time travel movie. You can find all the conditions for the strange endings on Bulbapedia, and some of them are pretty easy as long as you know what you're trying to do. One of the easiest strange endings is in the first Bryson Man movie, as all you need to achieve it is survive the first round without damaging your opponent. Similar to the Shiny Leaf Crown, this detail doesn't carry over into any other games, and is another fun and obscure achievement that you can earn. While we're here, I'm also going to take the opportunity to infect Orlov with Pokerus to make EV training easier. Pokerus is a very rare condition that has a roughly 1 in 22,000 chance of infecting a random Pokemon in your party after every battle. But the effects of this virus are entirely positive, because an infected Pokemon will gain twice as many effort values from battling than it would normally. An infected Pokemon can spread the virus to other Pokemon within the party, and after a few days the Pokemon will no longer be infectious, but will still permanently gain the benefit of increased EVs, and also gets a small indicator on their stat screen to show it. Getting Pokerus is extremely rare, but fortunately I happened to find it a few years ago, and I still had an infected Victini in my PC box that could pass the virus on to Orlov. Pokemon that are kept in storage will remain infectious and won't cure over time, so if you ever happen to find Pokerus, it's a good idea to keep a few infected Pokemon in storage so you can keep spreading it if you need it. After making our move into 3D, you might notice your ribbon collection has shrunk considerably. All of your Contest Ribbons and Battle Tower Ribbons are now condensed into the Contest Memory and Battle Memory Ribbons. You can check each of the Memory Ribbons to see how many ribbons they contain. If you manage to get all 40 Contest Ribbons and all 8 Battle Tower Ribbons, these ribbons will be golden. Or at least that's how they're meant to be. The appearance of these ribbons is sometimes glitched in Generation 7, so don't worry if they look incorrect or change colours later on. So long as the numbers are right, their appearance will correct themselves by the time you reach Pokemon Home. Starting out in Kalos, we can end our ribbon hiatus and kick off this generation with an easy Kalos Champion ribbon. And with another Champion title under our belt, we now have a few more minigames to play. In addition to the existing friendship mechanic, Generation 6 introduced a second mechanic called Affection. If you've ever noticed your Pokemon dodging moves, recovering from status effects, and dealing more crits in battle, that's a result of high affection. Affection can be checked in Pokemon Me, which is also the fastest way to raise it. Petting your Pokemon and feeding it Pokepuffs will raise its affection, and then playing games will tire it out and allow you to keep petting and feeding it more. You can maximise your affection in around 20 minutes by petting and feeding until your Ribbon Master stops showing hearts, then play 2 minigames, then repeat. You can earn Pokepuffs from performing well in the minigames, but if you already have a lot of them, you can simply just lose on purpose and then go back to feeding and petting. Keep doing this until affection is maxed out, and then visit Bonnie in the Lumiose City Prism Tower to get your best friend ribbon. There is one potential roadblock to this ribbon, and that's the fact that Cocoon Pokemon cannot eat Pokebuffs. So if you have a Pokemon like Metapod, Pineco, Spooper, or Silcoon, you're going to have to evolve it before you can feed it Pokebuffs. However, if you chose a Shedinja as your Ribbon Master, then you're kind of out of luck. Fortunately, there are other ways of raising affection, such as participating in contests, staying at Hotel Rich's Me, and sending them out into battle while they're your active Pokemon ME partner, although these methods will be a lot slower than just eating muffins and playing minigames. After that, our next minigame is Football. The Super Training minigame is one of the best ways to accurately EV train your Pokemon for the upcoming Battle Maison, as the level 3 courses award 12 effort values each time you beat them. But to earn the training ribbon, we need to complete every training course within a target time, including 12 additional courses that are made available to fully EV trained Pokemon. Your stats will also influence how well your Pokemon performs in this mode, as high attack stats will increase the damage of your shots, and high health reduces the penalty for being hit. Most of these courses aren't particularly difficult, but completing all 30 can be tedious, especially if you're using a more defensive Pokemon to do it. Once you're done, head to Cafe Ultimo on North Boulevard and show this woman how swole your Ribbon Master is to earn your training ribbon. Now it's time to get serious and face yet another battle facility. This time you have 4 options for battle modes, each with 2 difficulty levels, but fortunately the same 2 ribbons are available in each mode, so you can choose whichever battle format you like most. The Skillful Battler ribbon is earned for completing the 20 battle streak in the regular mode, and the Expert Battler ribbon is earned for completing the 50 battle streak in the super mode. As well as single and double battles, you also have the option of triple battles and rotation battles, but this time I'm going with singles. Like most battle facilities, the Battle Maison makes you fight on even footing with your opponents, by restricting your use of legendaries and setting your Pokemon to the same level. And while the Maison is still going to be challenging, this time you have a slight advantage over it. None of the Maison trainers will use Mega Evolution, but you can. Which is an advantage we are gladly going to take, because for single battles I have a strategy that I designed myself. I know for a fact that it's powerful, because its 2 core members would go on to be directly nerfed in the next 2 generations. Mega Kangaskhan is the lead for this team, and it has the potential to win most matches entirely on its own. Thanks to the signature ability Parental Bond, all of its attacks are effectively 50% stronger, and completely ignore opponents with sturdy or focus sashes. And while Kangaskhan's only weakness is fighting type moves, our Aegislash is completely immune and can freely switch in whenever Kangaskhan is threatened. Just like the other battle facilities, I'd highly recommend looking up your opponents so you know what moves they can be running. I learned that a lot of random Pokemon have Focus Blast, and many of them would have destroyed Kangaskhan if I hadn't been ready to switch out. After winning 19 and 49 battles in regular and super mode respectively, you'll face off against the Battle Chatelaine of your respective format. For singles, we'll be battling against Nita. Her regular singles team isn't much to worry about, but her super singles team pits us against Tornadus, Thundurus and Landorus. I've beaten her before with Kangaskhan and Aegislash, but it can be tricky as 2 of her Pokemon are running Focus Blast, and Tornadus can set up Substitute and spam Double Team, making it painful to deal with. Fortunately, knowing her team in advance means we can prepare for it, and since the Maison allows us to pause our streak whenever we want, we can simply change our team right before the final battle. As all of her Pokemon are flying types, a Cloyster with max attack and max speed can simply Shell Smash and demolish her with Icicle Spear, earning us our final ribbon for the Kalos region. Now we return to the Hoenn region, and once again we have more contest ribbons to collect. But first, we need to blend more Pokeblocks. Don't worry, I'm not going to get out another spreadsheet, because this time it couldn't be more simple. In this game, Sheed no longer affects how many Pokeblocks your Pokemon can eat, meaning we can blend up a bunch of berries and keep feeding our Ribbon Master until it has the best stats possible. Once we've maxed everything out, we can dive right back into the contest scene. Just like previous contests, you need to beat the normal, super and hyper ranks before you can challenge the master rank. But once you've unlocked master rank for the first time, you can enter straight into a master rank contest with any Pokemon you like. This time, the master rank is the only rank that awards ribbons, meaning that instead of needing to win 20 contests, this time we only need to win 5. These contests are functionally identical to the ones from Generation 3, starting with a brief visual round followed by 5 turns of showing off moves. The best move combo this time around is a move that pumps you up and a move that works well when pumped up. Double Team and Secret Power have these two effects, and can be learned by a majority of Pokemon. The TM for Double Team can be found on Route 113, and Secret Power is found on Route 111 when you learn about secret bases. You can also run a finishing move like Explosion, Destiny Bond or Memento for the final round, or a generally high scoring move to use in the second round when you only have one pumped up bonus. Scarves also make a return, although they can't raise your condition above its maximum, so in this generation they're kind of redundant. But if your Pokemon can Mega Evolve, you can instead give it the respective Mega Stone, and it will then Mega Evolve during the contest if it excites the crowd. With a maxed out contest condition, you stand a good chance of absolutely smoking most of the NPC trainers. The only coordinators who can really threaten you in this competition are Wallace and his niece Lysia, but even with them competing, you still have a good chance of taking home the ribbon, just as long as you don't get sabotaged too much by the other contestants. If you're starting with a Pokemon from Generation 5 or 6 and haven't raised your contest stats yet, it's a good idea to increase your affection first. Each point of affection also increases the power of Pokeblocks, reducing how many you need to reach maximum stats. After finishing all 5 Master Rank contests, you'll be additionally awarded with the Contest Star Ribbon, which will play a special entry animation in battles, similar to the Cult Classic effect. And just like the Cult Classic effect, this animation will only appear in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, so enjoy it while you can. And what better way to show off this effect than by beating the Elite Four again? We've already beaten the Hoenn League before, but as you might recall, the original champion ribbon we earned wasn't tied to a specific region, as it could also be received from the Kanto League in Fire Red and Leaf Green. But this time we get a brand new ribbon unique to the Hoenn League. With Hoenn cleared for the second time, I think we've earned another break to enjoy some of the smaller features these games had to offer. If your Pokemon was originally from the old Hoenn region, you get a special time travel award from the game director in Cove Lily Motel, which can then be used to decorate your secret base. You can also make a PR video with your Ribbon Master in Kalos, or earn a noble title in the Battle Chateau. If you want to grind experience for your Ribbon Master, secret Blissey bases and EXP O-Powers make it very easy to quickly farm a lot of experience. O-Powers also make it easy to grind money in Generation 6, and as the gorgeous Royal Ribbon is available in Hoenn, you might want to consider getting it here. By activating a level 3 prize money O-Power, holding an amulet coin and using the special move Happy Hour, you can earn $120,000 from a single battle with Gentleman Walter, which is almost 5 times more than you get from the elderly couple in Platinum. While Happy Hour is normally only available on Pokemon from special events, there is still a way to get it legitimately. Smeargle can use Sketch to copy any move it sees, and by visiting a secret base, you can simply copy Happy Hour from another trainer's event Pokemon. This base here is actually set up specifically for teaching both Happy Hour and Payday to Smeargle, giving you the perfect money grinding setup. If you can defeat Gentleman Walter on Route 121 and Lady Cindy on Route 104 before your O-Power runs out, you can earn around $200,000, meaning you only need to do this loop 6 times to afford all 3 of the ribbons, as opposed to defeating the elderly couple over 40 times in Sinnoh. You can also find the Effort Ribbon, the Daily Ribbons, and the Footprint Ribbon in both games, with the Daily Ribbon being given out to the entire party in Hoenn instead of just the first Pokemon. Now we reach Generation 7, and this time we only have one region to visit. If you're bringing over a Pokemon from the Virtual Console games, this is the generation you'll be starting out in, so my shiny Celebi will be tagging along from this point onwards. Is this just another shameless chance for me to show off a rare Pokemon that I caught? Yeah, pretty much. While we had a fair amount of ribbons to earn in Generation 6, you're going to notice there are now considerably fewer ribbons available with each new generation, with only 4 new ribbons in the Alola region. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'll leave that up to your own perspective. But after landing in the Alola region, we're going to make our way up the mountain and claim our 5th League Champion ribbon, before taking on the Battle Royal. This is a gimmick battle mode where you fight against 3 other trainers at the same time. The match ends when a trainer's entire team is defeated, and the winner is whoever out of the remaining 3 earns the most knockouts. A good strategy for winning is to use Swords Dance with Silvally followed by Explosion. Crunch and Iron Head can be used to clear out any Ghost or Rock types first, as you want the best chance of wiping the entire battlefield in one move, and after that you can bring in Metagross with a Mega Stone to finish cleaning up. Similar to how contests work, you need to earn a few wins in the lower ranks first. Once you unlock Master rank, you just need one win for your entire team to earn the ribbon, so while this mode is fairly luck based, you can just keep trying until you get a single win. From here, we now only have 2 more ribbons to earn before we're done with Alola, and both of them reside in the battle tree, this region's equivalent to the battle maison. Once again, we have a normal mode and a super mode, both earning ribbons after the 20th and 50th battles respectively. And just like the maison, the normal mode should be a walk in the park. These trainers don't use strong Pokemon, and you only need 20 wins for the ribbon. In Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, you aren't even restricted to level 50, meaning you can simply out-level your opponents and they can't do much to stop you. The final trainer is red or blue depending on whether you're doing singles or doubles, but even they aren't much of a threat in this mode. The other benefit of Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon is that restricted legendaries are not banned from entering the normal mode of the battle tree, meaning the battle tree Great Ribbon can be earned for our Mew and our Celebi. I've seen several people miss out on this ribbon because they naturally assume that their legendaries won't be allowed to enter the battle tree, so make sure you don't forget this one. As for the super mode, this one is as challenging as you might expect, and while the Maison gave you the upper hand with Mega Evolution, the battle tree doesn't pull any punches, as trainers here can use both Z moves and Mega Evolution. On top of that, every 10 battles they throw a boss fight at you in the form of a special NPC trainer. Annabelle, Wally, and even Cynthia can show up here to threaten your winning streak. If you don't want to raise any new Pokemon, then Garchomp, Suicune and Metagross make for a good trio to handle singles, allowing us to reuse our previous tower team with the addition of a Mega Stone for Metagross. Sadly, Mega Kangaskhan was nerfed for Alola, with Parental Bond's second attack now only dealing a quarter of what the main attack does. Aegislash is still as strong as ever, but if you're playing Moon or Ultra Moon and you're willing to add a new Pokemon to your team, one of the best Pokemon for helping to take out the battle tree is Celesteela. Celesteela is the heaviest Pokemon ever made, and as a steel type that learns Heavy Slam, you can deal considerable damage with a Choice Band, attacking with 120 base power against any Pokemon that weighs less than 200 kilograms, and 100 base power against Pokemon that weigh less than 250. For reference, there are only 80 Pokemon forms in Generation 8 that weigh more than 200 kilograms, and 25 of them are legendaries that are banned from the battle tree, as well as a few Pokemon that NPCs will never use, such as Guzzlord or Totem-sized Pokemon. Combine that with Beast Boost to increase your attack with every KO, and you can quickly build up momentum to steamroll through teams. Celesteela can work in both formats, and absolutely carried me through doubles the first time I did this challenge. Tapu Koko and Tapu Lele are also very strong options if you still have one in Generation 7. Once you reach the 50th battle, bring your Ribbon Master and take down Red or Blue one last time, and the Battle Tree Master Ribbon is yours. Unlike the Maison Chat lanes, Red and Blue don't have exactly preset teams, instead selecting from a pool of several Pokemon like the other NPCs do, so we can't prepare an exact counter for them. But they shouldn't be much tougher than any of the other trainers you battle to reach them. Now that we've cleared the Alola region, one of the best things you can do to celebrate with your new Ribbon Master is head to the Photo Club. If your Pokemon was caught in a previous generation, you can even take pictures with a special backdrop from their region, such as the Indigo Plateau, the Bell Tower, or Spear Pillar. Sadly, there's no special backdrop for Pokemon from the Ore region, but there are plenty of locations around Alola to choose from. The Footprint, Effort, and Best Friend ribbon are once again available in this region, and I'd actually recommend getting the Best Friend ribbon here instead of in Kalos, because raising affection here is a lot faster. All you need to do is feed your Pokemon 3 Rainbow Beans, and their affection will instantly maximize, allowing you to claim the ribbon in the Mali City Community Center. And with that, we bid farewell to the 3DS and move to the Switch. With your Pokemon stored in home, you no longer have to worry about them being left behind if Bank shuts down unexpectedly. When Pokemon Home compatibility was properly announced for Scarlet and Violet, they revealed that Pokemon Transfer would be fully backwards compatible for the first time since Generation 2, meaning compatible Pokemon that are caught or sent into Generation 9 are able to move back into Generation 8 at any time, meaning we can visit these next 4 games in any order that we like. But sadly, this is also where the party has to split up. As of Sword and Shield, only certain Pokemon are allowed entry into each game due to the reduced Pokédex sizes. Our entire group can still enter the Sinnoh remakes, but Quilava is unable to enter Galar, and everyone else is excluded from Hisui. If your Pokemon is unable to enter a certain region, the ribbons in that game are obviously not required for it to become a Ribbon Master. But if you plan on evolving your chosen Pokemon in any of these games, you might want to be careful when you do it. Due to the limited number of Pokemon available in each of these games, there are some Pokemon that are allowed in, but have evolutions or regional forms that are not. For example, Gumi can travel into Galar, Hisui, and Paldea, but evolving it into Sliggoo will stop it from entering Hisui, and evolving into the Hisuian form of Sliggoo stops it from entering Galar. If you decide to catch your Ribbon Master in Pokemon Go, then home is also where your journey will begin. There is technically one ribbon available in Pokemon Go, which is earned by gaining 300 Hearts of Affection with your Pokemon. However, this ribbon is only present within Pokemon Go, and does not stay with it when transferred into Home. There are also no ribbons in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and normally a Pokemon can't even be transferred into these games anyway, but a Pokemon caught in Pokemon Go can be transferred into these games instead of straight into Home, as long as it's one of the original 150 Pokemon, an Alolan form, or the mythical Pokemon Meltan and Melmetal. I say 150 and not 151 because Mew cannot be transferred in this way. And while there are no ribbons to collect here, catching your buddy in the Go Park allows you to change what Pokeball it's caught in, which is the only time where this has ever been possible. With that out of the way, let's go in chronological order and start with Sword and Shield. Once again lowering the total of new ribbons, we only have 3 to claim in the Galar region, but there's also a great new feature that was added in this generation. You can now select a ribbon and assign a unique title to your Pokemon, which is then used whenever it appears in battle. This is a great way to show off some of your achievements, with many of the coolest titles being paired to the rarest and most difficult ribbons to earn. The Champion, the 100 times Victorious, the Living Legend, the Shining Star, the Triumphant, the Royal, the Master, the Royal Master, the list goes on. And after competing in a brief champion tournament, we can claim the title of Galar Champion with a new ribbon, before catching a lift straight to the battle tower. I'm going to be honest, I don't even have any team suggestions for this ribbon, because it is by far the easiest battle tower ever. Pokemon are reduced to level 50, but there are no restricted species, and you also don't even need an unbroken winning streak to get this ribbon. But you probably won't break your streak anyway, because the trainers here barely put up a fight. The only difficult part is that trainers here love to spam Protect every chance they get, seemingly with no purpose other than to slow you down. This tower is broken up into ranks that you need to climb by winning battles, and every 10 wins in the Master rank will face you against Leon, and defeating him will earn your party the Tower Master ribbon. Any of our previous tower teams is more than capable of handling this challenge, but Dracovish is a great option that can sweep mostly everything, including Leon and his unbeatable Charizard. If you've made it this far already, you shouldn't have any trouble with the Galar Battle Tower. Now this is the ribbon you have to worry about. I'd even go as far as to say it's potentially one of the hardest ribbons in this challenge, because for the first time, you actually have to battle against other players to earn it. This ribbon is awarded for those who succeed in climbing up to the Master rank of ranked competitive matchmaking, and reaching this tier will require a lot of knowledge, strategy, and optimal team building, as well as a fair amount of determination. Fortunately, the competitive aspect of Pokemon has been made a lot more accessible with the introduction of ability capsules, ability patches, bottle caps, and nature mints that can be used to optimize every aspect of your team without the need for breeding or soft resetting. Bottle caps and ability capsules aren't new in this generation, but they're much easier to obtain than before. You also have the option of using rental teams for online matchmaking, so you can see how a team performs without having to build your own copy from scratch. This ribbon was introduced in Sword and Shield, but given the nature of how it works, I'll talk more about it when we get to Scarlet and Violet. You can still obtain this ribbon for winning in the Master rank, but since all the players have moved on to Generation 9, finding enough opponents to actually reach Master rank is nearly impossible. After heading back to Sinnoh, it's time for one final performance on the show stage. Just like in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, Sinnoh contests have been brought back with reworked mechanics, and this time, the entire contest is a dancing performance, with every contestant cooperating to put on a successful show. Of course, you're also being judged individually on your score, and even if the show wasn't a success, the best performer will receive a ribbon at the end of the Master Rank contest. These ribbons are identical to the ones earned in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, including the final Contest Star ribbon for earning first place in all 5 Master Rank shows. But even if you already earned all these ribbons, there is one additional ribbon that was added into this game. If your Pokemon has the Contest Star ribbon, it's eligible to compete in one final rank of contest that unlocks after beating the Elite Four. This is called the Brilliant Contest or Shining Contest depending on which game version you're playing. But there's no difference between these two contests, and both award you the same ribbon. Even with maxed out contest stats and good timing, this can be a difficult contest to beat, but we do have another way of improving our chances, and that's with Pokeball stickers. Similar to scarves, decorating a ball with stickers can greatly improve your score when used in contests. Using stickers will always score you extra visual points, but certain types of stickers give an increased bonus for certain types of contests, and there are only 2 stickers that give you bonus points in Brilliant contests, the Showmaster sticker and the Champion sticker. You'll earn a Showmaster sticker whenever a Pokemon is awarded the Contest Star ribbon, and Cynthia will give you a Champion sticker every time you win a rematch against her, but only after you clear the post-game in Stark Mountain by defeating Heatran, so you have to beat her strongest team to earn it. The Champion sticker actually gives you slightly more points than the Showmaster sticker, so the most optimal ball will be one that's covered in 20 Champion stickers. Getting that many is a bit of a grind though, and it's still possible to clear the Brilliant contest without needing any Champion stickers, but I'd go with a few just to be safe, and you can always go back to get more if you're still struggling. If you're starting with a Ribbon Master that didn't get to max out its contest stats in Generation 6, you'll have to make Poffins. And this time, the feeding limit has returned, so you can't just overfeed them until their stats are perfect. But this time, solo Poffin making is no longer impossible. If you gather a team of Pokemon with very high friendship that are able to enter Amity Square, they can help you by reducing the smoothness of the poffins that you create, meaning your Pokemon can eat more of them without getting full. With this method, it's even possible to max out your condition without fully filling your sheen. The only other preparation you need to make before entering these contests is learning a single contest move. As the standard appeal round has been cut, moves are no longer categorized by contest type, and are instead assigned one of 5 effects with varying levels of strength. The best one to use is Hype Points Gained will increase by 3 if Groove is positive, with a base hype of 3. This effect is mostly tied to legendary signature moves like Luster Purge, Dragon Ascent, Crush Grip, and Precipice Blades, but this effect is also given to Giga Impact, which can be purchased as a TM in the Veilstone department store. If your Pokemon can't learn Giga Impact, Facade has a slightly weaker version of the same effect, but it can be learned by a lot more Pokemon. To win these contests, simply focus on keeping time with the music, and use your move somewhere during the middle of the contest, or when you see all the other NPCs start to use theirs. Activating your move also lets you skip some notes in the song, so you can use it as a free skip if there's any part that's too hard for you to reliably hit. Put on a good performance, and then you can finally retire from the contest scene after earning your Twinkling Star ribbon. For Pokemon that can't enter Galar, the Tower Master ribbon is also available in Sinnoh, but unlike the Galar Battle Tower, Mythicals and restricted Pokemon are once again banned. This tower is also more challenging than the Galar Tower, and I'd highly recommend getting this ribbon in Galar if you can, but unfortunately that isn't going to be an option for Willow, so I need to do this the hard way. To get this ribbon, you need to beat Palmer in rank 10 of the Master Class Tower, but in order to access the Master Class, you need to first prove yourself by getting a 49 win streak in the regular mode of the tower. Since the roster of available Pokemon is the same as it was in Generation 4, I was going to recommend reusing our original Sinnoh Tower team for doubles, but I quickly found out that my Zapdos and Garchomp combo is not quite as effective anymore. Pokemon moving into this game have to reset all of their moves, and now Zapdos' moveset has been quite heavily nerfed within Brilliant Diamond, as it no longer has access to Hidden Power, Heat Wave, or even Hurricane. Fortunately, we can still run a similar version of our singles team to get through the main tower, as beating either singles or doubles will unlock both formats in the Master Class. You can battle in either format to achieve the Tower Master ribbon, but I'm going to be switching to doubles, because in the double format you battle against 2 trainers with 2 Pokemon each, instead of fighting 1 trainer with 4 Pokemon. And just like when we did the multi-battle ribbons in the original Sinnoh games, if we can defeat 1 trainer first, you turn the rest of the battle into a 2 versus 1. We can easily abuse this with a powerful strategy involving Trick Room, Nightshade, and a low-level Pokemon with Sturdy and Endeavour. By using Endeavour, we can drop the opponent to a tiny amount of health, and then finish them off with Nightshade, which does a guaranteed 50 damage. Meanwhile, my Donphan can't be knocked out because Sturdy will reduce it to 1 HP, and then it immediately heals back to full using Berry Juice, allowing Sturdy to protect it from a second attack. By the time Donphan can be knocked out, the battle should already become a 2 versus 1, and you can easily sweep up the remaining Pokemon before Trick Room even runs out. Once you reach rank 10, add your Ribbon Master to your team before the 7th battle, and then defeat Palmer to award your team the Tower Master ribbon. Our next stop is heading even further back in Sinnoh until we reach the Hisui region. There aren't actually any physical ribbons in this game, but we can get an invisible ribbon that will appear later. By going to the photo studio and selecting a Pokemon to take a picture with, this will effectively add a new ribbon to your Pokemon. If your Pokemon is able to enter the Paldea region, it will now automatically gain the Hisui ribbon when it first arrives. You don't need to actually take a picture with them to get this ribbon, but you might as well do it anyway while you're here. And now that we have all of the ribbons for this generation, I can finally evolve Willow into the Hisuian form of Typhlosion. Keeping Willow as a Quilava this entire time was very important if I wanted to get as many ribbons as possible, because if I evolved her into the regular form of Typhlosion before reaching Legends Arceus, I would have been unable to get the Hisui ribbon, and if I evolved her into the Hisuian form of Typhlosion before visiting Brilliant Diamond, I wouldn't have been able to get the Tower Master and Twinkling Star ribbons. And since both forms are allowed in Paldea, I'm finally free to evolve Quilava without missing any more ribbons. Of course, if they release a game in future with new ribbons where Typhlosion is allowed but Hisui and Typhlosion isn't, then unfortunately I'm going to be out of luck. But even if they did, Willow would still count as a Ribbon Master, as those ribbons would be considered unobtainable for a Hisui and Typhlosion. If you missed any ribbons previously, then the Effort Ribbon and Best Friend ribbons are available in both Sinnoh and Galar, while the Sinnoh Champion, Footprint, Gorgeous Royals, Daily, Contest Master, and Contest Star ribbons are all available in Sinnoh. As previously mentioned, the Footprint ribbon is now only given out when your Pokemon has gained at least 30 levels since it was first met, but there is actually an exception to this rule in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. For some reason, a select group of voiceless Pokemon are instead able to get this ribbon based on their friendship instead of using the new level requirement. Finally, we've reached the home stretch that is the Paldea region. We only have a few more ribbons left to collect, but first we actually have a surprise update to an older ribbon. As of Generation 9, the Battle Memory Ribbon now only needs 7 Battle Tower ribbons to turn gold, instead of previously needing all 8. Presumably this change was made due to the World Ability Ribbon no longer being legitimately obtainable for almost a decade. This also means that if you did manage to beat the Wi-Fi room, but you were unable to get the level 50 ribbon in Generation 3, you will also get upgraded to the gold version of the Memory Ribbon, since you still have a total of 7 battle ribbons. First of all, it's time to collect our final champion ribbon. Similar to Galar, we have to beat a small tournament instead of rematching the Elite Four, but you win a champion ribbon all the same. If you already received the Master Rank ribbon in Sword and Shield, this is actually the last ribbon you're going to get, but that doesn't mean we're done collecting. Now let's talk about marks. Marks were a gimmick first introduced in Sword and Shield. When you catch a Pokemon in the wild, there's a chance that it can be found with a unique marking, which appears on the page where the ribbons are displayed. Marks are purely cosmetic and have no effect on a Pokemon, aside from adding another layer of individuality and each offering a unique title for that Pokemon to use. Originally, only wild Pokemon caught in Sword and Shield could have marks, and they couldn't be earned or received in any other way. Scarlet and Violet still use the mark system for wild Pokemon, but now there are also a few special marks that can be earned, making them functionally identical to ribbons. The only thing distinguishing them from ribbons is that the methods to obtain them are entirely based on chance, with several marks appearing roughly 1% of the time whenever you meet a certain criteria. The first one is the Gourmand mark. Every time you eat food, all of the Pokemon in your party have a separate chance of earning this mark, but instead of 1%, this one appears at a rate of roughly 3% per meal, likely due to a coding error. You can make a bunch of sandwiches yourself, but eating pre-made food also counts, so the fastest way to get this one is to simply buy a load of ice cream or other street foods. Most street foods cost around $1,000, but you can buy candy apples and shaved ice in Kitakami for only $500. Otherwise, you could also buy churros for $800, which can be found next to the Northside Poke Center in Levincia. This mark will automatically appear alongside your ribbons when you earn it, so just keep eating and check your party periodically until it's there. The second mark we can earn is the Partner mark, which will also appear seemingly at random, and will even automatically assign itself as your currently selected title when you earn it. The trick to getting this mark is that your Pokemon needs to have at least 200 points of friendship, and then you have a 1% chance for appearing for every 10,000 steps that you take while that Pokemon is in your party. Now that might sound like a lot, and that's because it is. You can check your friendship by talking to the lady with a Marill in Cascarafa, who will also grant you the Best Friend ribbon in this generation. If she says that you're great or best friends, you have enough friendship to get the Partner mark. Once you're ready, our next stop is Cortondo, because the Olive Rolling Field is a nice open space where no Pokemon or NPCs are going to appear, so you're free to get on your bike and start riding around in circles without interruption. Riding at full speed, it takes around 4 to 5 minutes to go 10,000 steps, but the amount of time it takes to get this mark is completely random, and I'd recommend being prepared to wait a while. You have roughly a 25% chance of getting this mark within 2 hours, and a 75% chance of getting it within 9.5. However, we don't have to be actively engaged this whole time, as we can automate this process by using a rubber band to pull the joysticks on our controller together, which will cause you to keep spinning in circles. Simply apply the rubber band, press down on the left stick to go at full speed, and check back periodically until you see results. Scarlet and Violet also feature variable sizes for Pokemon, with a Pokemon having a size factor on a scale between 0 and 255. If your Pokemon is the maximum or minimum size possible, you will earn a mark if you show it to the Hiker NPC in Mesagoza. Any Pokemon that was caught in Generation 8 already has a size value assigned to it, although this wasn't visible until Legends Arceus. XXL and XXS Pokemon from Pokemon Go will automatically be assigned the maximum or minimum size respectively when they transfer into Pokemon Home, and Alpha Pokemon from Legends Arceus will also be max size, as well as the Titan Pokemon that can be caught after defeating them in the Path of Legends storyline. These ones don't get to keep their boosted sizes, but they do get a special Alpha mark or Titan mark to compensate. If your Pokemon was caught prior to Generation 8, then it will now automatically be assigned a random size when it's transferred into Pokemon Home. From what we can tell currently, there's no way to influence this, and even two perfectly identical clones of the same Pokemon can be given totally different sizes. In theory, you could try and brute force this mark if you have a way to clone your Ribbon Master before sending it into Home, but I wouldn't recommend doing this, as the odds are reportedly around 1 in 16,512 if you're hunting for a specific size mark. Since there's currently no way to change your Pokemon's size after you've caught it, these marks are obviously not required for a completed Ribbon Master. The last earnable mark is the Item Finder mark, yet they almost forgot to implement any way of actually earning it. This was eventually fixed with the Teal Mask patch update, but this mark was entirely unobtainable for over 10 months before this, despite it being mentioned directly by Hassel during one of his art classes. But now that it's been fixed, the method to earn this mark is quite self-explanatory, as all you need to do is find items. While walking around with you, your Pokemon is able to automatically collect items, and each time this happens, there is a 1% chance it will obtain the mark. Respawning items can be found all over the region, but it seems that items are a lot more common in Area 0 and Kitakami, making them good places to start looking. It might also be a good idea to search for this mark before you get the partner mark, as you're going to be walking a lot while you search for treasure, and there's a chance you might naturally end up finding the partner mark in the process. Speaking of broken achievements, there's also a ribbon that we can't currently obtain. According to some guidebooks, the 1 in a million ribbon appears with a 1% chance when a Pokemon is received in a surprise trade, but there's been no confirmed cases of this ribbon being given out, so it's likely another piece of cut content or simply something they forgot to implement properly. Even if this ribbon is officially added into the game at a later point, no one is going to expect you to actually collect this one, given how it will be impossible to get your Ribbon Master back if you want to trade it away. The last mark I want to mention is the Mightiest mark. This mark is exclusive to Pokemon that are caught from special 7-star event raids, but with the release of the Unrivaled Mewtwo raid, any Mew that defeated it would also get the mark. While Mew is currently the only Pokemon that can earn the Mightiest mark in this way, and only by defeating a specific raid boss, I think it's worth mentioning because it means there's a chance that more Pokemon will be able to earn the Mightiest mark in the future. With 3 properly earnable marks, the most marks currently possible on a single Pokemon is 5. If you start with a Pokemon that is eligible for a size mark and also has either a Wild mark, the Mightiest mark, the Titan mark, or the Alpha mark. Theoretically you could have 6 if the Mightiest mark becomes earnable on more Pokemon, but it's currently impossible for Mew to have a Wild mark or any of these other marks, making 5 the current limit. Now for the final hurdle, we come back to the Master Rank ribbon. As I mentioned previously, this ribbon was introduced in Sword and Shield, but since it relies on battling other people, your best chance of getting it is going to be in Scarlet and Violet. The rank ladder is divided into 5 tiers, with most of these tiers being split into 3 ranks. Winning battles will cause you to advance up the ranks, whereas losing battles will set you back. You don't need to win a perfect streak of battles, but you do need to win more often than not if you want to reach the Master Ball tier. You also need to reach it before the current competitive season ends, as your rank will be recalculated and reduced at the start of each new season to keep the leaderboards fresh. Unfortunately, I can't offer any future-proof advice for team building, since the allowed formats will change every few months, and the current meta will change along with it. Many of the principles you would have learned from battling in the battle towers will apply here, but this time you can't be certain what your opponents are going to do and you have a set time limit for every turn. The biggest piece of advice I can offer for this ribbon is to look up rental teams that you can use for the current rule set. Rental codes allow you to battle using pre-made teams, and many rental teams found online come with basic information on how to play them and utilise their strengths. Once you win enough battles to reach Master Ball rank, you'll have to start using your own team, since you can't add your own Pokemon onto someone else's rental. You also don't have to worry about losing at this point. Losing matches can cause your overall ranking to decrease, but losing will never cause you to fall out of the tier that you're currently in, as the only way to go down a tier is at the end of a season. This also applies for the lower tiers. Once you reach Great Ball tier, losing matches can't set you further back than rank 7, and once you reach Ultra Ball tier, you're only going to be 1 rank away from finally reaching Master Ball. You only need 1 win before the Master Rank ribbon is awarded to your whole party, so once you reach Master Ball, you can lose as many times as you need until you win, earning you that final ribbon. Restricted legendaries are sometimes able to get this ribbon, but it depends on the currently available format. As of this video coming out, there have been no formats in Scarlet and Violet that allow restricted legendaries, and near launch, Sword and Shield didn't permit them either, but eventually began to allow 1 or 2 per team as the ranked seasons progressed. But even when restricted legendaries were allowed, mythical Pokemon were still excluded in these formats. However, in the months leading up to the release of Scarlet and Violet, there was a brief format in Sword and Shield that allowed no limits on the number of restricted legendaries, even including mythicals for the very first time, and they might do the same thing again at some point during Generation 9. But as of now, if your Ribbon Master is only available in Sword and Shield and not Scarlet and Violet, Ranked Master falls into the same tier as the World Ability Ribbon, technically available, but effectively optional for now. And after 11 regions, 90 unique ribbons and a couple of marks, we are finally finished. Now all that's left to do is sit back, make some curry or a sandwich, and celebrate completing the Ribbon Master Challenge. I hope this video helps if you decide to take on this challenge for yourself, or even just inspires you to go back and revisit these older generations. If you need any more help with contests or battles, the Ribbon Master subreddit is a good place to start, and I've included a bunch of helpful links in the description for team builds and information that I've mentioned in this video. I also have to give thanks to the fellow members of the Ribbon Master Discord, as they have a lot of resources that were invaluable to me when I did my first Ribbon Master challenge, and this video wouldn't have been possible without them. The Ribbon Master server also has plenty of team concepts that you can use for the various battle facilities, some of which I used in this video, as well as rental teams that can help climb the ranks in online matchmaking. If you did like this video, you can let me know by subscribing. This took a lot of effort to put together, but I'd like to do more videos like this in the future. But for now, I think I've definitely earned a bit of a break. So thanks again for watching, and good luck collecting those ribbons. You might need it.
was brilliant, Candle, for me. Very much enjoyed.
Oh man, dude.
They were like, oh, Rex Luke's fart noise. What's going on here? Why is it taking so long? Okay.
It's just how long it takes in this fucking games, dude. It's great.
Wow. What if Tablet wants to use this footage? What if you, like, he can't put it on YouTube if you say butthole.
Why would you do that?
I'm just
Tablet,
saying.
edit that out.